Just a few months ago, Jandel could have been considered the most successful and popular developer on all of Roblox. He was getting millions of players on all of his games, making tons of money, and being very successful. However, today he has received a lot of hate and he is completely the opposite of what he used to be. His games are in trouble and he's in massive drama, which I'll be explaining in today's video. But real quick, feel free to like this video and subscribe. It means the world to me, but either way, let's get right into this because this is a crazy story. Now, Jandel is a Roblox developer that has been around for many years, but you most likely know him from his most recent game that was very popular called Grow a Garden or Plants vs. Brainrots. He's the owner of both of these games, and originally he blew up massively for being a game developer, especially in connection to Flamingo. You see, before Grow a Garden, before Plants vs. Brainrots, he was a fairly well-known developer who made a lot of cool, interesting games. For example, Wacky Wizards, Deep Steps, or games like that. And he also worked a lot with Flamingo, a big YouTuber, to make his special games for special events. Jandel grew his name to be known as a person who was very smart with creating new tech and doing original, enjoyable, fun experiences. Now, Jandel, well before Grow a Garden, had actually won something called a Bloxy Award, which is Roblox's old award ceremony where developers would get special awards for doing cool things. And he was actually nominated for Creator of the Year, his group, Splitting Point Studios, and he was actually very successful even before Grow a Garden. However, you see, nobody really expected for how massively he would blow up as a developer over the past couple years. One of his most recent games before Grow a Garden was Dusty Trip. Now, you guys may remember this game because it was very popular for a while, and it was actually the biggest game on Roblox for a short amount of time. It was pulling hundreds of thousands of players, and Dusty Trip was a very successful game with an original premise that people genuinely enjoyed. The game stayed popular for a long time, and it was actually basically Jandel's game. He owned the group that made it, and he directed the team that made this game, and this gave a lot of respect to Jandel and brought his name into the conversation of developers that were very successful. But many people, when this game died, thought that Jandel had, fallen off. Like maybe this was his one-hit wonder basically, and he was done after this. But little did people know, Jandel had connected with a development group by the name of Do Big Studios. Now, Do Big Studios, I've talked about them a lot in a couple of my other videos on my channel, so feel free to go watch those if you'd like after this video. But basically, to summarize, Do Big Studios is a group that buys up games that they think will go viral, has their development team go in, change it up, and then try to make it blow up as big as it can be. And at this point, Do Big Studios had done a lot of very viral games, but they had also built a reputation for being quite greedy and insensitive in the way that they saved these games. Those issues become a little bit more apparent as we go further into the story, but at this time, the connection between Do Big Studios and Jandel brought him his biggest successful game ever. That is a game by the name of Grow a Garden. You see, Grow a Garden was made by a random guy on Roblox who had spent some time to create an original experience, and it had honestly started to do fairly well. When the game released, it got a few hundred players, and then a few thousand, and then Jandel and Do Big Studios had seen the success of the game and also had seen the potential in it and decided to acquire it. Now, with this acquisition, the game blew up massively. You guys know this is the most popular game in Roblox's history in terms of peak player counts, and also one of the top in terms of total visits. It genuinely changed Roblox forever in the amount of people it brought to the platform and how massively viral the game was. And now here's the thing, Grow a Garden had a very special thing that happened every single week that got it very popular called admin abuse events. Now these would happen every single Saturday, and during these events is when the biggest player count spikes would happen. In fact, the most ever was something over like 20 million players at one single time in one of these events. It was basically a set time that everyone in the world would come together who played this game to experience something amazing and to get some rare stuff. And each of these events had a face, and that face was Jandel. Jandel became the public face of the game. He was in every single admin event, his character was big, or he was the person making TikToks talking about the updates and being the face of the game. He basically grew a massive amount of respect and a huge fan base over his connection to Grow a Garden because many people saw him as the owner and creator of the game. Even if he didn't originally make it, even if he wasn't the full development team, he was the face of the game and he was the public facing image. And this was honestly amazing for Jandel because it brought him the best success that he has ever seen in the history of Roblox. I mean, honestly, many could argue that he is the most popular developer in Roblox's history. But this came with a lot of its own issues, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But the thing was, even though Grow a Garden started to fizzle out in players, a new game owned by Jandel came out that was also massively successful. Do Big Studios and Jandel bought up a game by the name of Plants vs. Brainrots, a game that was basically piggybacking off the brainrot trend that had blown up massively after they bought it, pulling hundreds of thousands of players every single day for a solid week or two. I mean, this game had millions of players, and I even remember enjoying it when it blew up, and this was Jandel's third game in a row after Dusty Trip and Grow a Garden to truly break the platform in success, like truly set some new standards for what could be done with a brand new game on Roblox. However, as I mentioned, there were some issues that came with Jandel becoming the public face for not only Do Big Studios, but also just these viral games. You see, Grow a Garden Garden did not last forever. I've made videos talking about why the game died, so I won't go too in depth in that, but as Grow a Garden fizzled out in players, so did Jandel's popularity because he was directly tied to the success of the game. And the thing is, Grow a Garden didn't just die, but it also started to gather a lot of hate. There was a lot of people that started to have issues with how the developers ran the game, or people that had a massive issue with Do Big Studios, who many people thought were just buying games to eventually just abandon them after they stopped making as much money and kill them and lose the community that those games once had. So Jandel, even though he wasn't directly the owner of Do Big Studios, would get involved in this drama and become a target of these people. And so the thing is, a lot of people thought that he was truly a greedy person who all he really cared about was making as much money as he could, and he didn't actually care about the community of Grow a Garden or any of the other games he owned for that matter. But here's the thing, it continued to get worse for Jandel. You see, as he was following off of the success of these games, Plants vs. Brainrots and Grow a Garden, even though they had started to die out, he did not give up on developing at all, because Jandel really has not stopped developing since he joined the platform Roblox many years ago. After these games, one of his next games that he released was called Brainrot Seas, and it was a game that likely should have done really well. It was basically a mix between Blox Fruits and Steal a Brainrot or any other Brainrot games, and if you think about it, okay, that game should probably do very well. And Jandel seemingly spent a lot of time working on this game along with his team. However, when the game released, it really did not do that great. It got a few thousand players, which is good, but for Jandel, I mean, the games that were pulling millions of players under his control, now his newest one is only pulling a few thousand, was a big failure. It was a big flop, and it actually started to gather a ton of hate. People went on social media to call it a unoriginal stolen game copying Blox Fruits or any other Brainrot games or any other special experiences, and people started to realize that Jandel might only care about money. Instead of making something super original, a fun idea like Grow a Garden, or going quiet to develop that for a while and then coming back with a banger, he seemingly just wanted to pump out games based off Brainrot trends or whatever he thought could do well. Even if it wasn't the truth, and even if that isn't what Jandel was doing, that's what it felt like to his fans, and that's what honestly matters the most. But the thing is, he got one step worse when he purchased up a game called Slap Duels, which is basically just a reskinned clone of another viral game by the name of Slap Battles. In fact, this game was so similar that people genuinely were mad at Jandel for just buying this game up and trying to make it popular when it was literally just the same as any other big game. And this is the pattern that started to happen. People had realized that Do Big Studios and Jandel seemingly only cared about making money and buying these games to make as much as they could instead of creating original experiences like Grow a Garden was. Grow a Garden was an original idea. Nobody else had done anything like it on Roblox, and that's what made it so special. Same with Steal a Brainrot. As much as people might not like Steal a Brainrot, it was an original idea, and those games were rewarded for it. But seemingly as Jandel stepped too far down into the ideas of trying to just force whatever he could to go viral, it gathered him a lot of hate. So this perfect storm has basically hit Jandel, and he's had to make apology videos talking about Brainrot Seas or apology videos on his TikTok, and basically go pretty inactive on his social medias. He's likely still working on games, and sometimes you'll see him in studio, but the thing is, Jandel is basically a shadow of what he was just a few months ago. Grow a Garden is at the worst player counts it's ever seen, and actually, he has relinquished control from the game. Like, he no longer is the owner of the game, which honestly ended quite a crazy era of Jandel growing this game massively to where we are today. And I want to say this because I'm guessing a lot of you watching this video might have opinions on Jandel, but I just want to say, in his position, it's a very complicated issue. You can't just expect that every game will do well, or you can't just expect to make everyone happy. Ultimately, Roblox comes down to a place where people want to make as much money as they can if they're a game developer, and most of the time people are not just doing passion projects, they also want to make a living. I personally do not blame Jandel for trying to go viral off of games that were similar to other viral ones. I just think there comes to a point where you become known as a developer who's made quality games, and when you stoop a little bit lower, you have this standard that you break with your fans. I'm honestly interested to hear what you guys think, because in my opinion, Jandel does not deserve as much hate as he is getting. I honestly believe he should just be able to go quiet, go inactive on social media, lock in on like some original fun experience, and just spend his time doing that. Because he truly does have a skill for making good games. Dusty Trip, Grow a Garden, even Plants vs. Brainrots were all enjoyable experiences when they were popular. And I think if Jandel is able to work on another game that is original, fun, doesn't feel like a cash grab, or like it's just made to make money, then there's honestly a big chance that Jandel will be successful yet again. But who knows where he'll be? Maybe he made all of his money from Grow a Garden. Who knows? But either way, that's gonna be it. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you guys want to see more like this, drop a like. But either way, it's gonna be it. Have an amazing day and take care.